Blessings and welcome to the Sunday service short message from the heart of mighty I Am Presence. Today's topic is resurrection on this Easter weekend. What is resurrection? What does it really mean to you? You may be very religious. You're going to experience resurrection from the lens of religion. You may be atheist. There is still a resurrection that is playing in your life. You may be multi-faith. It's constant resurrection for you as well. You may be completely on your ascension path of spirituality and you know all about resurrection. So what really is resurrection to you? I like to share my perspective with you. Resurrection to me is rising. What are we rising from? To me, rising from the old self, rising from that part of me that is no longer my truth, rising from ego, rising from fear, rising from limitation, rising from all parts that isn't my true self. And what is that physical resurrection? Dying of the old to welcome the new. And what is that new? That newness to me is not actually new. It's what has always been there. That true self, that mighty God present self that has always been here. From that eternal light, that light of divinity that created all in its divine perfection is here, has always been here. And when we rise out of our contraction and out of our limitation, we let go of these layers that isn't our truth, we come to that eternal light that we can see clearly our reality, which is a very different reality. And to me, that is a resurrected state. Now, many of us have experienced resurrection with an actual physical death. And with that physical death, whether we were died for a minute, 5 minutes, 6 hours, 12 hours, and then we rose back again, we entered back into our human template from a very different lens because we experienced that light. I'm one of those. I've experienced afterlife. So I can only speak from my perspective through that consciousness, through that I am presence that I get to experience, that eternal light that I call the living Christ, the Holy Spirit. I get to experience what that is as a consciousness. And from that, I was sent back in this body, but a different being. So my old self was put into rest and my new self was risen. That is what I call a resurrected state of beingness. And I'm not the only one. There are thousands and thousands of us that have experienced this. Just go on podcasts such as Next Level Soul, which I've been featured on. There are so many of us that talk about what happened in afterlife. And it just so happened, whatever faith we come from, somehow majority of us had the experience of meeting Jesus or Yeshua or the living Christ. Now, did that affirm for us to be returned back to become a Christian? That is for others to speak of. For me, it was about returning out from that consciousness that was shown to me when Yeshua showed me that eternal light. It said, this is the I am. I am this and you are this. When I returned to that consciousness, I got to see who my true nature is. And that's from that awareness, I was sent back in this body. So that's the lens I'm seeing. But he never asked me to be a Christian. He never asked me to become a Catholic. He never asked me to become anything else. He only shared to go live and be this. That is the only reference I have. And in order to embrace that, I had to resurrect to this new state of awareness. And this state of awareness is through this crystalline light, this Christ light, this clarity. And this clarity is filled with love, with humility, with integrity, with purity, with care and compassion. And it is all designed in its boldness to respond to the call of its mighty I am presence, to that God presence within, to live for that presence. So this is the lens that I come from resurrection. And I'm not here to convince anyone. Now you will have your experience what resurrection means to you. You may have had a very challenging life, and you rose up from those challenges. Now you're living a different life. You resurrected out of that into your new life. You may have had a fatal car accident, and out of that you became a new person, and that new part of you is taking that walk, and it will absolutely change your life as you knew it in the past, because it's an entire different life, it's an entire different operating system, and you do raise out of one consciousness into another. And this is something that is spoken in all across traditions. All, whether you are Hindu, whether you're Buddhist, whether you're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, whether you practice Sufism or Kabbalah, and even indigenous, all always talking about their renewal, that renewal part of you that becomes online and rises. It is a living rebirth. So happy birthday with being resurrected into your true essence, your true self, and serving and living from there. Thank you so much for joining me today for this short message. I love to hear your comment. Please feel free to do. Leave me a comment. I love reading them. And feel free to share this if you wish. And for those of you that want to dive in deeper in this place of mighty I am presence, this is where I'm ministering through my private ministry called Ascension Alchemy Ministry Association. It is a private member base, and we go deep in this space where we are embodying our ascension, our resurrected place, our resurrected state into these bodies, and grounding them and living there from purpose. So much love, and have a beautiful, blessed day.